What's going on, everybody? Joel here from TheTokenMinorities, and we are here with the Week 1 battle against Trev and the Atlanta Braviarys, and I am very excited for this match, and you guys will definitely enjoy this match because it was a heck of a battle. So looking at the team preview, I guess before I dive into that, if you haven't already seen my team building process video, that'll be a link in the description below. And instead of putting everything in one video like I did last year, I'm going to instead split it up into 2 different videos each week so that we have more content as a channel and so that you guys aren't overloaded with content on one particular day. So definitely go check that out if you haven't already. Now let's take a look at the team preview. As you can see, this is a Wi-Fi battle, so definitely going to be a little bit of a different experience than what the majority of my battles were last season, but regardless, I'm still excited about the Wi-Fi aspect of this match. And it looks like Trev has brought a pretty threatening team. He brought Doublade, Victini, Landers T, Kieran Black, Alamamola, and Heliolisk. Now, I'm not entirely surprised by what he brought. This is basically the same team that I expected. I thought there was a possibility that he might try to bring Mega Blastoise to have some hazards or some hazard removal support, and of course I prepared my team very heavily for that, and unfortunately he did not bring that. Instead he brought Alamamola, which will definitely prove to be quite the threat in this game. Not so much an offensive threat, but just the fact that it's going to have the capacity to keep its teammates around throughout the game, and that definitely could hinder my dual screen sweeping strategy. So my game plan going in here, knowing that he did bring Doublade, and knowing that Porygon Z is absolutely win condition number 1, is to do whatever it takes to get Porygon Z in a position to at the very least plow through his team and take out 1 or 2 members, such that maybe Clefable can sweep up late game, or maybe even Terrakion can do something late game as well. So I actually like the team preview. Just looking at his team from the very beginning, from the team building process, I didn't really feel like I had the edge in this game whatsoever, just due to the enormous threats he has. However, I believe I team built very well for this game. Team preview appears to be in my favor just under the circumstances that I do have a plan against these specific 6 mons that he brought. So, with that said, let's go ahead and dive in to the battle. Here we go. As was my original plan from the team building process, I did decide to lead off with my Focus Sash Greninja to just try to get the hazards up immediately, and he decides to lead off with his Heliolisk, which really is no surprise considering in every single mock battle I had, Heliolisk was the lead, and I guess it makes sense considering I don't have Volt switch-ins, and he just decides to go for that here, bringing me down to my Sash, but I am able to get up my Toxic Spikes immediately, which is very nice because those are going to be crucial in my team's ability to take out Victini and Kieran Black. So getting those up turn 1 is fantastic. Now here he goes into his Doublade, which is kind of an issue because I am going to be scared out fearing the Shadow Sneak, and I'm not going to be able to get up my layer of spikes immediately. Instead, I'm just going to go straight into my Rotom Heat, knowing that I can eat up really any hit, unless he decides to be a Head Smash or Rock Slide variant, and that'd be really unfortunate, but he just makes a nice play and goes for the Shadow Claw, I guess predicting that. Now I think that I'm going to be able to scare him out into really any other mon with my Rotom Heat. I'm just going to double back into my Greninja to try to get up that first layer of spikes, and luckily I do bring him into his Landorus Therian. Now I know he's going to be probably scared out here, so I'm not going to even bother going for the Scald, just trying to get some cheap damage on. I'm just going to go for the spikes immediately because that is the whole purpose of having this Greninja as my lead with a Focus Sash. So I get up both layers of hazards that I think I need for this game, and here he makes an over prediction thinking I'm going to try to switch into my Rotom Heat again, but really I don't need to do that. I just want damage on Doublade if I can, because the more damage I can get on Doublade at this point in the game, the easier time Clefable is going to have sweeping late game. So I do lose my Greninja here, but I get up both layers of hazards and a good chunk of damage off against the Doublade, and I feel like I'm in a pretty good situation. Here I have a free switch into my Rotom Heat, and I believe this is an ideal time to just go for a Light Screen, predicting the switch into Kieran Black, but he makes the switch into Landorus T instead, which is an interesting play because I thought that he would want to keep this thing as healthy as possible to take hits from potentially a Bandit or Swords Dance Terrakion, but instead he decides to switch into Landorus T here to try to get his rocks up against my Rotom. But, I mean, I guess I'll take it. I didn't take any more damage in the process, and I got up both of my screens. So now I'm going to be able to go into my Mega Venusaur with incredible ease against this Landorus Landorus T and not fear anything whatsoever. But he makes a nice play and switches out into his Victini, predicting that. So now I'm in, I guess, a tough situation, but the fact of the matter is I'm running offense, well, my form of offense, I should say, and I'm not going to switch out against this Victini, especially because he did not bring a Azumarill, which really was the main purpose for Venusaur in this game, was to wall Azumarill, but he didn't bring that, so I'm just going to take this as an opportunity to wear down this Victini, and I think that as long as he doesn't freeze me, as long as he doesn't flinch me with Zen Headbutt, that I should be able to take it out with a couple Sludge Bombs here, with, of course, the assistance of the Toxic Spikes. And that actually is going to be exactly what happens. I guess he could have gone for a V-Create here, as this is a banded Victini, and that would have done a big chunk of damage to me, but if that were the case, I probably would have switched out maybe into Rotom Heat to absorb the V-Create. I'm not really sure, but the fact of the matter remains that he did just go for a couple Zen Headbutts, and I'm able to take out the Victini with my Mega Venusaur, which is wonderful because now there's really only one more major threat to my team, and he is here, the Kyurem Black, and he has now taken Spikes and Toxic Spikes damage. And this is pretty great for me because the timer will be on this now, and if I can get this thing weakened at all, then I have an even better time with Porygon Z. And quite honestly, now that he's taken out my Venusaur, I can go into my Porygon Z here and actually go for a game if I really wanted to, and I believe that's what I'm going to do here. But he does reveal Leftovers, telling me that this is probably going to be a sub-Roost variant, which could have been a threat if I decided to not bring a more offensively oriented team this week. So luckily I did bring offense, and I'm not going to be worried about sub-Roost. But here I go into my Porygon Z, knowing that behind screens there's nothing he can do that can kill me, so I'm just going to go straight for the Nasty Plot, and he just reveals Ice Beam again, or doesn't reveal, he goes for Ice Beam again, and does a decent amount of damage to my Porygon Z. Now here, I should have gone for the Agility because I could have won the game right here, but my intuition was telling me that this turn I was going to get frozen. I predicted hacks. Yes, I know. I probably shouldn't have predicted hacks, but I was paranoid as heck. So I just went straight for the Tri-Attack, knowing that if I can get rid of the Kyurem Black, then he has no answers left to my Cosmic Power Clefable. So I took the risk. I took the risk of a crit later on, I guess, in avoiding the freeze here and just killing the Kyurem Black right now. So it might have been a bad play. It's definitely going to harm the differential at the end of the game. As I lose my Porygon Z here to the Heliolisk, but I thought it was the safest play, and I wasn't really out to get a big differential against Trev. I just wanted the win, and I thought that the easiest way for me to get the win in this game, or the most likely way for me to get the win in this game, was to just go for the Tri-Attack against the Kyurem Black and set up with Clefable later on. So that's the game plan at this point. All I need to do is get more damage on this Landorus T, and then I will be good to go with Clefable, and really will have no fears whatsoever, as my Clefable is definitely a special defensive variant. It won't be taking Earthquakes very well from Landorus T, so I need a Cosmic Power up in one way or another before I try to combat it. So now I'm going to go into my Rotom Heat against the Landorus T. Now I was a Shuka Berry Terrakion, and I do have Hidden Power Ice, but I didn't want to reveal it yet because I wanted to make sure I got the kill with Terrakion whenever I revealed Hidden Power Ice. So I thought this was a free switch into my Rotom, and quite frankly a free Overheat, knowing that I should outspeed this Landorus T, considering I was EV'd to outspeed a timid max speed Blastoise, and I'm able to get off a huge chunk of damage with the Overheat. And now looking at this percentage after Leftovers on the Landorus T, I know that Hidden Power Ice has a chance to KO from this range. It is in no way guaranteed. I think I actually need a high roll to get it, but regardless, I have a Shuka Berry. I don't care about Earthquake. He's already revealed Leftovers. He does not have Yachi Berry. So here comes a Hidden Power Ice, and I get a high roll and take out the Landorus T and don't even have to reveal my Shuka Berry. So this is wonderful. I believe all he has left at this point is the Doublade, which will go down to an Earthquake here, so I don't really agree with him bringing it in at this point. I guess he thought he'd be able to take it, or thinking maybe I didn't have Earthquake because I had Hidden Power Ice, but that's not the case. Down goes the Doublade. He should just have the Heliolisk left and the Alomomola left, and here he goes into his Alomomola, and I have a very, very, very free switch into this named Clefable, so I'm not going to stay in and try to do some damage to this. I really have no reason to. I can just go straight into Clefable and not fear anything whatsoever. The only thing that could stop him, or could stop me rather, from winning this game at this point is a Mirror Coat Alomomola. And at this point, I have made the decision to not attack Alomomola with anything powerful until I have seen his entire moveset, or until I have seen at least his offensive options. So I'm just going to start Cosmic Power in here, I believe, as his only options are to Wish Protect Scald with his Alma Mola, or he can, I guess, switch into his Heliolisk and try to crit me with Hyper Voice, or Thunderbolt if he wants to try to paralyze me, although that's a play I wouldn't recommend. I would recommend that he would switch into his Heliolisk here, assuming it is Choice Specs. I believe it is Choice Specs, and he could just spam Hyper Voice and hope for a double critical hit, because now that I have a Cosmic Power up, he does have to get a double critical hit to take me out, as my Clefable was EV to be able to take 3 Specs Hyper Voices from a timid Heliolisk. And it just so happens that he brought a timid Heliolisk with Choice Specs. So, the EV spread is definitely going to be coming in handy here. And I'll be honest, the remainder of this match is going to become quite stally, as I was able to take out his best responses to Clefable, and I thought it was in my best interest to make sure that I was at maximum health at the end of every turn here, knowing that my EV spread prevented him from 2-hit KOing me without a critical hit. And if he gets a critical hit, now that I have a +1 Cosmic Power, I know that there's no way he can 2-hit KO me as long as I spam Soft Boiled here and let his health just slowly go down. So that's going to be what's happening here at the end of the game. Now, I know some people will frown upon this approach that I took at the end of this game, and to those of you who disagree with it, I do apologize. But like I've said, this was a revenge match, as I did lose to Trev in the playoffs last season, and you better bet that I was going to do whatever it took, bar cheating of course, to win week 1 against him here. And so I'm going to take the safest approach to doing so. I'm going to take the easiest approach to doing so, and that's going to be to stall him out with a Cosmic Power Clefable. And there's just nothing he can do at this point in the match, unless he reveals Mirror Coat, of course, and that's why I'm going to wait. I'm not going to attack him until he reveals what his moveset is with Alma Mola. I know Heliolisk cannot touch me. It's sure trying to touch me, but it's not doing much of anything here. It's slowly getting worn down by the poison. And my Clefable is just shrugging it off like it's nothing. Now, you might notice that I don't have leftovers here on this Clefable, and that is because I'm running a Braviarys, and if you watch my team building process video, you would know this already, but basically that is just the berry that weakens the power of super effective steel type moves. So even if he did have the blade still at this point in the game, I would be fine, because with 1 Cosmic Power up, or even no Cosmic Powers up, I'm able to eat up an Iron Head from the blade, and I have Hidden Power Ground on this Clefable, and I would be able to just take it out there with no issues whatsoever, especially considering how low it was in HP after taking the Scald from Greninja. So now the Heliolisk is down. I am paralyzed, which is actually great because it's going to help me stall out this Alma Mola. Even better considering I won't have to attack on every turn due to paralysis. But here, I'm just going to spam Cosmic Power until he reveals his moveset, and he plays his hand, or he shows his hand rather immediately, going for Mirror Coat, which I don't agree with, and he understands this. We talked about this after the game. He probably should have held that close to his chest, probably until I started attacking him, knowing that this is a fully Spadef Alma Mola, and I don't believe even like a +6 Cosmic Power Stored Power against this Alma Mola is I think it's a 3-hit KO. So he could have waited for me to reveal and then go for the Mirror Coat to try to get me there, and if he did do that, I probably would have lost the game. Or, I don't know if I would have lost the game, but would have gotten a sizable amount of damage off on it with Clefable, and I think it would have gone down to a 1-0 at that point, unless he burned me with Scald, as I was an SD Terrakion. If this had no defensive investment on this Alma Mola, then after an SD Terrakion would be able to just knock it out, especially after the poison damage. So I think I had this game wrapped up regardless at this point, even if I did just go for the stored power, but I took it as, I took the safest route. And the safest route was the most time-consuming route, and it ended up just being a stall war, and by that I mean a time stall war. So that's why we're showing a replay of this, and I never even considered showing a live recording of this, not that I really want to do that anyway, but that's kind of what happened here, and I am just going to speed it up from here until the end, because you guys don't really want to see this, and then I'll talk a little bit more at the end of the game. Alright, so that about wraps up the game here as the time is about to expire. And the Toronto Staraptors begin the season at 1-0, taking down the #1 team in the power rankings, the Atlanta Braviarys. And I would not be surprised if we now sit atop on the power rankings for the beginning of Week 2. So thanks for watching, guys, and here we go. The season has begun. We're off to a good start, and now we'll be taking on the who are we taking on? We're taking on Bacchius Battles and the New York Patriots next week, which will be a fun game. I was his first opponent whenever he entered the league last season, and I beat him pretty handily. So I'm assuming that he will be looking for revenge in that game. So definitely, it will be a fun match, and I'm already beginning preparation for that. So I'm excited for it. I hope you're excited for it as well. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a comment. I appreciate it. It really helps me out. Helps me know you're enjoying the videos. And leave suggestions if there's anything you think I should change about the format of the videos, and etc, etc. So thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next week. Peace.